Hi Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and welcome to your August 2025 Leo season tarot reading. I'm Susan, your intuitive, and some cards have already fell out, so let's get started. We have the High Priestess, King of Cups, Five of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles popped right out. You're being intuitively guided right now, and that is what is healing any masculine side of you that is perhaps doubting or wanting to put too much on your plate. It may be easy to just accept a lot of different things that come up and to give in to the mentality of like, if I don't take them now, they won't come. But like, you also won't be able to actually enjoy this experience and be in this experience if you don't allow yourself to trust in the long haul. Because there is one of the things that comes to mind is that there's something about, if it's coming to you and there's a knowing, I would take a look at, the frequency in which all of these are coming to you and how you feel about them and your attachments to them. And if there's anything that reveals itself to you through your intuition, right? Is it disappointment? Like, is it you're used to overworking? How can you actually trust that whatever is coming your way, you can, if you need to, say no to at times? For others of you, you are moving away from doing many different things and you feel very guided right now, and you may feel stuff before it comes. We have the eclipses coming up in your axis, you and Pisces, and through this connection and communication, through this energy that for Virgo risings, Gemini is bringing into Uranus and your 10th house, you may have to come into this acceptance of that things may change in your role or your career, shifts that you didn't think of or couldn't think of. It's very electrical. It's technological, maybe. It could be communicating in some aspect or in a different way, some way, shape, or form. So when we're being prepared for changes, depending on where we're at, the changes will be emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. It just depends. It could be a combination, right? So you're also learning to let go of the energy of constant movement and realizing that as a mutable sign, taking that time to sit back, reflect, or see things and settle your nervous system. You may want to use your hands while you're processing or something, right? I'm not saying do it in your way, but like center yourself to hear the messages and hear what it is that you're being guided and how it is that you're being guided right now, especially through your emotional stability. This may bring a new idea. The Ace of Pentacles is a new idea, something that if you didn't have to do all these things, or if maybe you do like most of them, or you like something that they provide, how do you find a way to bring it together? Or how do you find a way that is more sustainable for your particular personality, right? If that was possible, what would you demand? What would you ask for? If the power was yours, what would your dream be, pretty much? And what is the resistance on believing that's possible? Because trusting that it could be may reveal, even if it's your own secret, your own little secret, that you're trusting that something like that is possible, and there is somewhere down the line capacity for it. But this is also where what this is showing and like revealing to you, illuminating, especially because it's the full moon weekend and the Lion's Gate, is where in your life control was performing as doubt. It's just masking doubt. Because of this saying that I really don't like, but we're going to use it because it's coming to mind and it's relevant. Is trust the devil you do rather than the devil you don't. I think you're at that point where whether or not you acknowledge that to be true or real in your life, it's time. Because there's a shift. And you felt the shift. You felt the shift happen. And the shift for Virgo means that Virgo sun, moon, and rising, when you're done with a part of your past, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because again, it could just be physically and then everything else follows, or everything else happened and this is the last thing. It doesn't mean it's necessarily changing everything. It could just be simply location or mindset. It could be a shift in romance in your romantic life as well, where you learn to trust yourself and trust that you don't need to spread yourself too thin if you're single. And if you're dating someone, you can learn to trust and not be in your head and settle your nervous system and learn to be vulnerable with whatever it is that you talk about or whatever it is you think in your head is possible and true for this relationship or this career. But it's not until you actually communicate it and know that like whatever fears or shadows you also have there, it's important that those are revealed, because when you shed light on them, they become lighter. And if you're with someone you love and trust and hopefully are building something with, if that's what you want, they'll understand. Or whoever you're with will meet you where you're at. And back to the control and what you do and don't know. This is a time where you do have to trust that. You may be so great when other people are there and you could see it so well and you're able to understand. But when you go through it yourself, it's different. So how do we bridge that gap, right? How does this happen? Well, you have to allow yourself to from time to time, and sometimes just be in the mystery of the high priestess has, and I love this, like she has the moon at her feet. It's not in the sky. She knows. She's the middle of the black and the white. And there's something so peaceful because it's the present also. And it can be a difficult practice to be in the present when you can feel and sense, but the more that you get there, the more you realize how much was going on in your mind, how much you were giving your mind. And although it's important to reinforce, it's more important that you express. You may not realize it or not, but what you have to say, especially about how you feel about yourself at times and your skills, and being real and honest about any anguish or mental control or feeling trapped, creating that. And then understanding the difference between consequences and healing. Could they be both, right? If there's any grievances that you have that come through after this at this powerful time, especially around, for Virgo risings, your self-worth, your skills, how that's perhaps changing your role or your career, which is also perhaps shifting the way that you work or even your health. There is more than what you know now, but you have to be willing to move forward without knowing exactly the whole plan. I mean, you could draft one out, but that may change, and allowing yourself to surrender to that is more about your own conscious. Eight of Swords tells us than your subconscious reverse 10 of Swords. The reverse 10 of Swords says that the end, you felt it already, and now it's coming into fruition. And it can go either way depending on where you stand. So if you haven't yet moved on from what you know is not good for you, and we'll get more into this into the second part, which will be in the first link below. It's on Patreon, where we get even more into the cards, into the metaphysics. Not a lot of arcana's up, but this is a lot to do with any grief that you've been holding on to and haven't actually processed and integrated somatically into your body, because it's so important for you, for your actual change in life and that connection. But the connection comes through the throat. It comes through your expression, because so this is like basically a process. The King of Wands is saying that whether it was you who adapted to something at a young age, or responded to something, or reacted to something, there was a power over you that caused you to feel doubt, when there had been many a times that you could have chosen abundance, chosen to believe, chosen and had been given something else if you just look up. And it may have caused a lot of mental anguish that made you feel like you were powerless. And you're not anymore. And as you move through that process and release, if that's not important and you need to, you're given a choice again. And again and again, you'll always be given a choice. You're being given an opportunity to create change. It may not be exactly what you want, or it may not show up exactly how you want it to show up, but as you move forward, because we went from the King to the Page, is that we find out what's been hidden within, is that this voice wasn't yours, and if you follow yours, you'll eventually see yourself as the king. Even if you feel that way, there's a part of you that may still be really integrating this process, because you may have thought you moved on, but you still are in decision, and there's an opening right now. There's an opening to give yourself that chance and that opportunity. And you may be given it time and time again. You may be given it, if this is about your love life, then somewhere along the line, there was a lot of perhaps self-sabotage, maybe a controlling partner, again, back to that control, made you feel powerless in your situation, and so you kept giving to the places that kept that narrative running, right? This is something that, of course, is said, but just to reiterate, is like, you could want something, but you have to make those choices, and continuously, and for any complexities, if you have complex trauma or anything, that could perhaps take more awareness, not necessarily time, but more awareness. And in this relationship, you felt like your sovereignty, your authenticity, maybe not your authenticity, but your sovereignty, your choice may have been taken away. And that was just the illusion. And whoever this person that shows up, who is a king but appears as a page right now, they provide for you something different, or they show up very differently. And that's what allows you to break through the illusion and allows you to see differently. It's like when you're healing, if you have been in abusive or toxic or control type relationships, whether it be with others, yourself, with people you were raised with, a prominent, dominant figure in your life, and you're constantly seeing people like that, but you're working through the pattern, you know, someone who you didn't necessarily notice before, you didn't find attractive, may become attractive to you because you're attracted to someone different. You're attracted cellularly, nervous system level different. But the mind for you is a big, huge, important healing, huge, important topic, healing process. Because that is then the nervous system, because you're going to digest something involuntary that happens no matter what, but the integration all depends on your awareness. So there have been many layers in one area of your life, especially if it's love or career that has felt really hard. You may have needed a lot more compassion for yourself, especially if you've been working too hard or working too much, and like finally you're the only one who can give yourself time and space. And if you find yourself remembering any time where someone else gave you the permission, just take that from them again. Doesn't matter. Because an amazing idea or opportunity can come from this. And it'll teach you a lot about where you've started from and where you are now. So you may need a lot of rest at this time. A lot more, and you think, oh, prep, I gotta prep. No. Rest is prep right now. Rest is prep. Rest, especially emotional rest. So if anything stresses you out, as lazy or selfish or whatever it could sound like to someone else, if a day comes and you realize like you don't want as many plans on the calendar, just get rid of them this month. You can change it next month, but for this month, you might need some time, or you might be given the time. And creativity, art, expression is what is going to help reveal this communication of some sort. Maybe through a song, maybe through a person, social media, something hits you the right way, you feel it, and all of a sudden, a shift happens. That's our cue. All information to work with me one-on-one is below. Patreon link, we'll get into the second part, as I mentioned before, is below. And yeah, we'll see you next time, Virgo, in your season. Oh my God, I didn't say happy birthday to the early Virgo, to the August Leos, or Virgos. Oh my God, Virgos. We'll see you next time.